Hey guys, here's my build. Got a Bismarck game today. This is a couple of reasons. This is funny. Here I am kind of checking. I've been messing around with my build with Bismarck. We'll touch on that in a little bit. But so I've got Hyde hybrid build. So he's got Hipper, Cunningham is the inspiration, flammable cannoneer, then porcupine, sniper, and properly meticulous. Fight fire with fire, and so this kind of gives you a good mix of, main gun secondaries on the Bismarck. This is a ship that I've struggled with. I think maybe some my fault, maybe some not, but this is the build that I've enjoyed the most. You can see me checking the teams there, kind of looking at it. We've got a double Harbin division on our team, and that right off the bat is like red flags for me. Here I'm going to show you. This is my Bismarck. My stats are a little lower than some of my other ships. At the tier, my attracted damage is high. I've talked to other people that do well in the Bismarck. I don't think those are out of line for doing well, doing a lot better than 49%. Like, I don't think those are losing record stats. If anybody sees this and wants to comment, like, whatever, I don't know. The ship just hasn't worked out that well for me for one reason or another. I've played enough games that I feel like, it shouldn't be just RNG, just matchmaking. It's like if you play 20 games and you lose 4 or 5 for bad luck, like, yeah, that's going to have a huge impact. I've played whatever it was, 80 or something, and it's just like, I don't know, but here we're starting out. Harbin's already leaving. I am kind of trying to use this little island for cover. I'm shooting at this Picardy way over there, one of the reasons I like the things, and then I slowed this down because, look at how many AP shells that is. I remember in game watching this come in, and it felt like slow motion in the match, and it's just like whack, 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 pin, 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 like 3 pins to 4 pins, like, oh my gosh. And even, that's kind of one of the things that I don't love about the Bismarck is I wasn't like perfectly angled, but here in a second I'm going to show the right side. I think a lot of those, I don't see a lot of hits in the hull. I think a lot of that was superstructure damage. Like, great, it's got great armor and all that. I just took 23,000 damage in pins to mostly superstructure. Like, it doesn't matter how good my hull armor is when it's like a city on top of it. Maybe I play that, but I'm, 12 kilometers from the ships when that happens. I'm moving in, I'm reasonably angled, I'm moving in to contest. Oh, you know what? I don't have any sound. Hold on a second. I don't know. I checked it. It seems to be working. Maybe it's just not sound right. Like, where's the sound? Is the game missing sound? I don't know. Well, hopefully it comes out. I guess the game sound isn't that meaningful, but again, as I've mentioned before, half of why I'm doing this is just trying to figure out how all this video editing stuff works. Just, I don't know, just for something to learn. And if the sound doesn't work, I'll see if I can figure out why. But yeah, so back to the I guess, kind of the armor on the Bismarck. It's like, and even just looking at the blackened part of the ship, damage saturation, like, that's a lot of damage in the superstructure. So yeah, anyway, I'm alone again. I literally played the Tirpitz game yesterday, and I was like, I had some stuff going on this morning, but I'm like, I'll sit down. I got a little bit of, around lunchtime, whatever. Let's play some matches. Alone again. Here, there's one destroyer on the team. Of course, he's on my flank. I'm getting shot at by 2 battleships and the Picardy north of A, and the destroyer, which is a Z-46, is right in front of me. And it's just like, come on. You can see we've got an Adriatico in C. I don't begrudge him at this point. Like, he doesn't need to leave his flank to come help me. That's not his fault. Ooh, good whack on the Picardy. That's why one of the reasons I like this hybrid build. Bismarck guns are not bad. People give them a bad rap, but they're really not awful. They're not great. They're not, the best guns in the game, but they're not bad. Let's see. So what was I saying? Yeah, I'm alone. I think the only thing that saves... Ooh, that's nice. Vlad got a dev strike on that. There's a couple of things that saved me. The Iowa and the Kansas, after hitting me with that big whack, they, like, back off. They go over to A, and then, on one hand, this Z-46 took B. So maybe they're like, well, we've got the cap, but, like, I'm here. They kind of need to take care of me. They need to do something. I think they had better options for kind of pushing their advantage in B rather than just all going over to A. Because they're like out of the fight for a long time as they've kind of sailed into that. I'm not sure what their plan was, but if this Vlad doesn't come around the corner, they don't shoot him. He definitely misplayed this. He should have just stayed back and nose tanked. Instead, he's pushing right around. He's broadside everything. I don't know what he was doing there. But yeah, and then the Z-46 came around, started shooting at me. He was 7 kilometers, so like, I don't even know if you can get a Z-46 to be detectable at that range. If you like took off the camo, used mortar, you know, steering gears instead of concealment, like I honestly don't even know if it would get that high. So I don't know why he was shooting me there. He took a significant amount of damage from secondaries, which are decent. They're, you know, not all in on this build, but close enough. And then, you know, I think I got a couple of main gun hits on him, so like he took some chunk damage there. That's great. I'm using this little island for cover from him, and like, yep, here comes the torpedoes. I'm trying to kind of keep my nose in, playing with the throttle. I'm not great with either hitting battleships or dodging destroyers, like with this kind of thing. For some reason, this like my brain just doesn't work with the geometry quite the way it should. Like I'm always somehow off, and so I was proud of myself for making this work in a way that it doesn't always work for me. Here, I was talking to the Adriatico, and I'm just like, dude, why are you charging a Palmer? That's a Palmer in the red battleship over there. Like, you took C. The destroyer is over here. Like, come help in B. Go around the backside, you know, our side of the map, so you don't have to get too close to St. Louis, and just come in here and contest B. Like, I'm right here with you. Sure, you sank the Palmer, but like, oh, why? You're out of position. There was a blue battleship over there anyway, and it's just like, ugh, why? Palmer sank the Harbin. Yeah, one of the Harbins that was on my flank. I mean, honestly, you know, and somehow this is like Spidey sense. The Z-46, there hadn't been like torpedoes on the other part of the map, and I'm just like, you know what? I bet this guy wants me. I bet he really wants me. So I dodged this first set, and I'm slamming on the brakes, turning in, trying to get this second set. And when I saw it at first, I was like, oh, I'm going to dodge all but 2. But I think, does the third? Oh, no, so I eat 2. That hurts. So that's kind of 2 big whacks. But I get the Z-46. It's like, all right. So now I can get in the cap, and I'm trying to scoot past the gap. You see all those ships over there. I want to move past so I can use this island on my flank as cover, and then go ahead and cap this zone. If I get a few shots on this St. Louis up here, that's going to be great, but I also want to fully cap the zone, because I have a suspicion this is going to come down to points, just based on how everything's gone. I would like to have this capped and generating points as much as possible. So, we chill for a second. Yeah, actually, while we're here, we'll talk about the build a little bit. You know, I go back and forth between the 5 heals and properly meticulous. This is a match where maybe the heals would have been a better choice, but honestly, like, the properly meticulous kind of picks back up some of that secondary performance that you miss. Like, I don't have, what's her face, Haruna. I do have secondary first and fourth mod. Oh, and the reason I've gone secondary mod 4 is I actually would rather have main gun reload. This is, I would say, probably is, I think more of my damage comes from the main guns, but the secondaries are still effective, because if it's like, if you don't have the secondaries at all, why are you playing Bismarck? You might as well play Vanguard, Iowa, Vlad if you want good armor. You know, like, there's just other ships that kind of do that main gun thing. And, come on. It wasn't like the best lead on that either, but like they split right around him. Anyway, so I think properly meticulous in the 4th slot picks back up, you know, just elevates the secondaries just a touch, and then I've got secondary mod in the 4th slot, which improves reload. But the biggest reason I've got that is without what is it, crisscross or gyrating drill bits, the turret traverse on this thing is atrocious. And so if I have secondary mod 4th slot, I don't get that 15% debuff from reload mod 4th slot. And I would rather have, like, it's, for me personally, I have a few kind of breakpoints on where stats are tolerable, and about 40 seconds for 180 degrees on a battleship is where I really start to not like playing that ship. And Bismarck, with no turret rotation benefit, and then with reload mod slot 4, gets above that. I think it's like 42.5 seconds. I don't like that. So I've gone with just reload mod slot 4 just to keep the turret traverse. And so again, you know, you've got options. I could instead have Kedrov or what's her face, ARP Yamato. Those both improve turret first. You could running with scissors, but then it's like, I end up, and this is maybe one of the reasons that the Bismarck hasn't always like gelled with me, is it's got like a lot of these different little facets of it that are all kind of vying for attention, and you kind of need all of them to work for the ship to actually come together. You need the armor, so you need to be tanking. You need the secondaries to be in action, at least some. You actually do need the main guns. Something like Brandenburg or Atlantico. If you don't have, or Michelangelo, if you don't get as much out of the main guns, you're not necessarily missing all that much. But I think the Bismarck, you have to get some value out of the main guns, or it's not going to be that effective. And B, like, come on, Picardy 11 kilometers knocks my main gun with his like little pea shooters. That's annoying. But anyway, like you have to get all of those things working in concert, and so I've struggled to find the balance of where the exact build that I want is similar. I talked about it. I had a Warspite video a while ago where there were several facets of the ship that I was trying to balance. It's not the exact same because Warspite isn't. I mean, some people build it for secondaries, but I don't think that's a great idea. So it's not exactly the same, but it's like you're trying to balance a few flaws of the ship while still keeping its strengths intact. I think this hide build with Bismarck is maybe a best option, at least for me. Let's see. And you see, and actually just kind of to point out back to my stats, right now I'm kind of at my average stats for this ship, and like, I don't feel like I've played a bad game. If I sync right now, it's like, I've done okay. It wasn't amazing. It's not like, oh, I'm going to carry the game with this performance, but I don't think as an average level of performance, this is a losing record. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe when I'm playing a different ship, it sure feels like the other battleships on my team aren't doing any better than this. So I would take this from a Bismarck on my team, and I would expect a win off of that, as part of the team contribution. So, but I don't know, it is what it is. I try not to get too worked up about it. The win rate is like, it matters in some degree, because I actually, more so than like, oh, the win rate itself, like, it helps me think about how I'm doing in a ship. Like, do I understand it? Am I playing well in it? Things like that. And so, but some of these that seem to be overly low or high, it's like, I don't understand. Is it just RNG? Is it just matchmaking? At a certain point, that explanation falls flat for me. They're like, I want to understand, why this versus that, why this ship is doing well, that ship's doing bad, like whatever. And so win rate is one part of that. So I don't want people to think that I'm like hung up on win rate. I know there's like, people get so, it is a game, but I also take it seriously. Anyway. During this play, I'm kind of creeping up on this Picardy. He's over here by himself. I didn't want to push into all four ships. That was a little bit further back when I kind of went into the gap in between these islands around to my north. And I was like, should I push in? The first thought I had was like, oh yeah, let's push in. Let's go take out. I knew this Kansas was low. Like, there's a Cleveland that I overmatch, and he's low. Like, let's go get in there and do that. And I'm like, no. That's not the play. Like, that's greedy. That's pointless. I for sure can't trust the rest of my team based on what they've done so far. They may be fine. They may not, and I need to stay alive. So just pushing in isn't going to be good. So I was kind of playing it conservative. I actually thought that a few more ships might come around might come around south, but they all went around north. So it is what it is. I didn't actually get to engage as many of the ships on this side as I thought I might get to. I saw this Flander moving in. The Musashi is on that side. So if I go around the same side, like, we're all in the same spot. They're just gonna, all the red ships can just angle for us. So I intentionally wanted to get some separation. Additionally, the Adriatico is up here to be able to play off of him, play off of his spotting. Make sure he doesn't just get into a pickle and get himself sunk for no reason, so that's kind of a lot of the reasons that I'm on this side. And hey, look, I'm left with like no health again, just like my Tirpitz video. It's funny to me how this happens. It's like poetry. It rhymes. 2 days in a row that I had a double division. So yesterday it was double Picardy, today it was the double Harbin. And it's like, when you see it, it's like that cheese ship. I don't know, I'm telling myself the story, but like, these guys load in, they're like, oh, this is gonna be great. It's like, no, it's not, man. No, it's not. But anyway, so we did all right. I would love to get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage, but not quite. And I did all right, especially for solo flank again.